Hello there. Today I'm looking at something completely different. I've got a Japanese gin to show you. This is Ukiyo Japanese Yuzu gin. So this is one of a range of, I think, 3 gins and a vodka, launched in 2021 by a company called Kirker Greer. And Kirker Greer are an independent brand owner and spirit producer who were founded in 2009 by Stephen Pattison and Richard Ryan. And the name Kirker Greer references a distillery founded in 1885 in Belfast for producing Irish whiskey. And so the company is based in the UK but operates internationally. They say they have spirits in 10 different sectors and they sell in over 50 countries. Evidently, there are a range of ethical spirits. I'm assuming that's ethically produced. Next to explain, the Yuzu is a mandarin or clementine like citrus fruit, originally probably a crossing created in China that came to Korea and Japan about 1500 years ago. And there's quite a tradition in Japan of cultivating the yuzu. Evidently it will ripen to be completely orange, but I think they're harvested quite early just to give more sort of pungency and more sort of citric tang. So you've got flavours of lemon, grapefruit and mandarin, and these flavours are quite widely utilised in Japanese cuisine. Ukiyo evidently translates as floating world. Now this quite curious name for a gin sort of relates to a Japanese expression of a state of mind where somebody lives in the moment, detached from the realities of life. And it's derived from the perceived social ambitions of people in a newly urbanizing Japan during Japan's Edo period. Evidently it prioritises wit, stylishness and extravagance, going on to include naughtiness, hedonism, transgressions. But yes, prioritising those over one's humdrum everyday obligation. There's a slightly darker side to the whole thing in that this evidently is a homophone for a Buddhist term referring to a world of suffering. But I think it's the floating world that the name of the gin is referencing here. Now, as far as the gin's production, there's a little bit of what appears to be slightly conflicting information. On Ukiyo's website, they say the gin was created in Chiba, which is a location east of Tokyo. On Kirker Greer's website, they say it's made in Kagoshima, near the Sakurojima volcano. Now those two aren't necessarily conflicting bits of information. I'm sure it could have been initially produced in Chiba, then moved to Kagoshima, but I am surprised that the bits of information don't quite seem to line up. Evidently it's made from local grain, so probably barley, possibly rice, which is distilled into shōchū, which is the traditional lowish strength Japanese spirit that's been distilled for over a century. Now, while it's most likely to be either barley or rice that's used for this distillation, shōchū can actually be made from a whole host of ingredients. So you could use, for instance, sweet potatoes, buckwheat, brown sugar, carrots, potatoes, sesame seeds and even chestnuts. What is produced is a relatively neutral spirit with about 25% alcohol that's been created in a pot still. This is then redistilled with mandarin, juniper and spice. There's mention of miakan peel and shansho peppers. The gin is then infused with yuzu. Now the initial press release that I saw for this said it would be available internationally. By internationally they mentioned the UK, Germany, the Netherlands, Australia. I can't actually see any listings for this in Japan, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not available there. So how would you consume this? The producer's recommendations are predominantly that it's drunk as a long drink, either with soda or with tonic, presumably over ice. However, they do make the suggestion that you could make a white Negroni with it, and that seems quite interesting. I haven't gone to that extent today, but might be worth trying. For that, you'll need 1 part Avise. Avise is a white gentian root infused spirit from the Auvergne in France. You'd want 1 part of, they say, Dolin Blanc vermouth, but I'm assuming a dry white French Chambray vermouth is what you need here. And then 2 parts of Ukiyo gin. So if you have a go at that, do let us know how you get on, won't you? So, to look at the gin. First of all, to say I've put a drop of water in this just to sort of help open the aromas out, because when I first looked at it they were quite sort of closed up and a bit spirity, and that's made quite a difference. It's an absolutely water white spirit. There's no colour to that whatsoever. It's 40% alcohol. It sticks to the edge of the glass slightly, forms minor tears, but it's not that viscous. Let's see what we make of the aromas, shall we? Yes, the aromas really have sort of opened up. There's a wonderful, pungent, almost quite juicy citrus note. There's high-toned hints of mandarin being the obvious thing. It makes me think of kumquats. There's sort of quite a lifted, perfumed note, but also quite an intensity of aromas. You might think of sherbetiness. It makes me think of barley sugars. There's something sort of concentrated, almost like a sort of slight burnt sugar note. But yes, there's a lifted nature to the citric notes, and there's a concentration. So let's have a taste. On the palate, there's a wonderful concentration. Again, it's mandarin, much more mandarin on this occasion. It's orange peel notes, and there is a slight note of kumquat again. That sort of pungency really coming through, and a lovely long-lasting flavour. I think possibly that's an advantage of having popped a little bit of water in it. I suppose if you're having it as a long drink, you'd be using tonic or whatever, and that's just allowing the fruit flavours to show through past the alcohol that would be there otherwise. There's a freshness, and it feels acidic. There's a tang to the citric notes down the side of the palate. There's almost a sort of slight pithiness. There's notes of lemon, there's lime, grapefruit, and then on the centre of the tongue, this more concentrated mandarin, clementine, kumquat sort of notes. So yes, very much citrus dominated, very much a sort of a rich, forward, more orangey citrus. There isn't a particularly strong flavour of juniper coming through, but there are just some sort of slight high-toned notes of that exotic perfume, combining with sort of hints of spice on the edge of the palate, just so that you know it's there. It's a delicate, elegant presence that's adding a little extra dimension to the whole experience. It's one where the flavours are increasing towards the finish there, adding an extra dimension to the drink. I've actually really quite enjoyed that, so thank you so much for watching. I do hope you found the tasting of interest. If you've enjoyed it, do please press the like button. We'd really appreciate that. If you would like to watch more of these videos, do please subscribe to our channel. That way you can set yourself an alert and be notified every time we publish a new video. If you have any comments about this gin, any of the other products we're looking at, or any of the other tastings we're doing, do please pop those in the comments box below. We'd really welcome your suggestions. We'd love to hear what you think about what we're doing here. If you have any friends you think might be interested, do please feel free to forward that to them. That would be very much appreciated. I will leave a link in the notes below to the Wine Searcher webpage for this particular gin. If you follow that, you'll be able to find out if the gin is available and what its pricing is. So thank you once again for joining us. I do hope you'll manage to make some time in the very near future to come and watch another one of our tastings. Hopefully see you then. Bye for now.